So today's going to be kind of packed, and the danger is that I run away with it, and you're left feeling what hit me at the end of the time we have together. Don't allow that to happen. Slow me down, stop me, whatever. This is, this is something that we want to do for ourselves. So stay alive to it, stay focused, and on your screen right now, I hope you've got that. You've got everything. You've got your paper and pen. You've got your water. You got everything. You need.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Right. So the last thing we did was something about. Oh, right. Remember this? Try and stay above the line. I know I got a sense from some people's journaling that um, it felt as though what we were talking about was running away from you. And sometimes we're likely to be going fast enough for you to feel at the end of it to kind of drop below the line and say, oh no, this is not going to work for me, or this time it didn't work for me. So try and stay focused. And if you can't, then let me know so I can slow it down. There are no stupid questions. Make it work for you. And if you still feel there's a stupid question, put it in the chat. Yeah? Cool. All right. So the last session stopped with this thought that, so what really is this experiential methodology? And primarily, in my opinion, um, what we try and do is create a sense of disequilibrium. And creating a sense of disequilibrium and creating disequilibrium, sometimes there's a thin line. And I'll give you an example of what we do not call disequilibrium. Okay, and that is, for example, if I have a child who is in the 5th grade and I give that child a 6th or 7th grade math problem, then that certainly creates disequilibrium, but it does a lot more, and we will look at what that means. So our job is to really know, okay, where are they and how far can I take that and create that disequilibrium for them so that they get a sense that, I don't know it, but I can figure it out. Because if we create that big gap, then we are likely to get them to feel like, oh God, this is way beyond me. And I think a couple of people did express that I lost focus in the middle, and then when it came to something else, I didn't know what we were talking about. So that can be scary. It can also drive people away from the learning process. So just to remember that this equilibrium is created enough for people to dive into the process and to invite exploration of whatever topic we are in. And how much they engage in that exploratory process gives us an indication of how engaged they are and whether it's way beyond them or it's in that process they're building capacity as they go into that exploratory piece. Are you getting what I'm saying? Okay, so far? Cool. So let's look at what those areas are that we can stay in and what areas we do not want to go into. And this is something that you may be aware of. It's and you may have encountered it, and we're going to give it a little more shape and content. So the tendency of all living things is to stay in what we call a comfortable place, whatever that means. And for each one of us, it's a different experience. So We want to stay in that comfort zone because it's a predictable world. It's it's the known world. It's something that we are aware of. We know how to deal with it. If something happens, we know how to manage it. Clear? Okay. And just remember that the tendency is to always return to this place no matter what happens in our lives. So there's this constant movement back to that comfortable place. So you can have a long day at work, which creates disequilibrium for you. And you may get back home and you say, this is rest time. And so the past 3 months, in some ways, um, that comfort, what was our comfortable place, has now, in many ways, in our relationships, in our work, has created that same place appears to have created discomfort for us. And it's like every day, how am I going to deal with my children? How am I going to deal with the demands of the office? How am I going to manage working from home because somebody is constantly calling me? And that same place has now become an area of disequilibrium for us. It's creating that for us. And I'm sure we recognize that we're finding new ways to deal with it. Great. So what's that? So how would you describe the comfort zone? We are in control, we feel safe. Now, later sometime, I don't know if it'll come up in a conversation, um, I like to differentiate between these two words of safety and comfort. Okay, we want to keep people feeling safe, but they may not necessarily feel comfortable. So we create discomfort, and can we create discomfort and yet get people to feel safe? And I think it'll define itself over time as we go along, but just remember that safety and comfort are not the same thing. Okay? Yeah, so it's known territory, and we operate within that space with a considerable degree of confidence because outcomes are predictable, events are predictable, you know what's happening from hour to hour, right? So also, not much learning happens in this place. Now, learning being as described as something new, okay? So you can stay comfortable and become very good at your job. You may not have learned anything new. So if you're an accountant for 30 years, you become really good at it. But there's always a scenario in which something drags you into a state of discomfort. But you can, because you've become so expertise can also become a comfortable place. Yeah? Okay, we'll describe that a little more using different language. Okay, so where does discomfort really happen? It's when it's not in that comfort zone. And a classic example of recognizing discomfort is, I'm sure you've had moments like this when you either walked into a classroom or your home and said, okay, tonight everybody else is going to cook. What do you think happens? What do you hear from people?
Resistance.
Do you hear resistance?
Yeah, right. That's the words.
So this is going to be, you're going to have to put your mics off to describe to me, or even, for example, let's say, the connectivity, God forbid, goes away. What's going to happen? You see, let's say I freeze.
Disbelief.
What's your reaction going to be?
Shock.
Slight irritation.
That's all what you're feeling.
Irritation, wondering what you're thinking.
Curious.
You're
Will be
going.
curious.
What's the first response? The first response.
What's wrong with this
What-
person?
No. What's wrong? Something's wrong with the network.
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you a better example that you've all experienced. We've all gone to school, right? We've been privileged to have attended a classroom, by and
Yeah.
large. Yeah, great. Teacher walks in. So imagine you're in the classroom. You're in 9th grade. In ninth grade, everything becomes critical. The teacher walks in and says, okay, take out your, we have a surprise test.
What the hell?
We'll say no.
Yeah. So, right. So how does that
Shock.
note down
Shock.
from the whole classroom?
Shock.
Together.
Shock.
No.
I want you all to say exactly that because I'm going to give you a surprise test. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
No.
So,
So this is a classic indication of the next zone. People start groaning. Oh, no, not today. Can we do it later? Okay, you know what? Can I cook after 1 hour? Whatever the scenario might be, right? And I'm sure we've heard this and we've been part of this. This is called the groan zone. So I discovered through in my teaching years that if I did something like that and the class said, "Oh, that was a great moment," very often we respond not so nicely to it. And we say, "Oh, they really don't want it." No, 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 that's not the case. They don't want it for that moment. And our job is to keep, that is disequilibrium. That's one example of disequilibrium. Others might, so in the outdoors, if you've done any adventure, somebody invites you to do a really scary activity and you say no, and then you watch people and then you say, okay, I'm going to try it. And you, in that moment, move from that place of comfort to disequilibrium or discomfort. Okay, let's try it. Okay, everybody, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Clap and clasp your hands. Got that? Okay. Now when I say free, everybody together, 1, and then you stay in that position. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Is your right hand, which one is on top, left or right thumb?
Left.
Left.
Okay, good. Unless somebody says both thumbs are on top. Okay, now, this is what I want you to do. I want you to switch. Are you saying,
Discomfort.
what does it feel like?
Discomfort.
Discomfort.
Switch back. So nice, no?
Comfort.
So nice. Now keep doing that. Now, next time we clap, what I want you to do is to do what you don't normally do. Are you ready? And you may get it and you may not, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, no, it didn't.
No.
Okay, you got that?
Yeah.
That's an example of discomfort. Okay, ready? Do this. Are you right over left or left over right?
Left over right.
Right.
Right over
Right over left.
Right over left.
Right over left.
Nice.
Right over left.
So, anytime, so this is a great way of dividing groups as well. If you want 2 groups, this is a great way of doing it. And strangely, it turns out to be 50-50, pretty close to it.
Wow.
On a rare day, you may have 80-20, but by and large, it's around that number. Now, change that.
Doesn't make sense in my brain.
Not able to sit in this.
Your brain struggling with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, this is discomfort. Okay, try it and switch. Oh God, I gotta think about it.
My hand is going in the same comfortable position.
I know. See, that's what me too. What's happening?
Not going in that
Right.
discomfort.
You got that? Okay. That's another example. Third one. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Right hand.
Right-handed.
Anybody left-handed here? Raise your left hand. Okay. Write your name with your weaker hand. And if you've got a piece of paper, like I mentioned, show it up so everybody can see it. Okay. Great. Now, write your name with your regular hand under that and then show it. Do they look the same?
No.
No.
On a lucky day, you might have have your weaker hand write better than your regular hand. And if your handwriting is really bad, normally then it doesn't matter, right? A lot of people are now on the keyboard and they just forgotten how to write. Okay, so that's another example. You remember what it felt like? Okay, now I want you to write a sentence of 4 or 5 words with your weaker hand and be really conscious of what's going on here. We have a walker on the road right now.
He was on the bike a minute ago.
I hope you're not riding a bike, my friend.
No, someone else was riding it. I was just behind.
Okay.
I'm racing home.
Yeah, just stay safe, yeah? I know this is important and you love me, but not so much. Avni, let's see that. Closer. 2.
I've written I like dogs with the left hand.
Well, that looks like 2 like dogs.
No, it's I like dogs.
I don't know. To me, it looks like 2, but it's still pretty anyway. It doesn't matter. Okay. What did it feel like?
Constantly
thinking if I'm writing right.
Okay, so how do we manage conversations today?
So I felt very disoriented in the sense in the beginning, I felt a little confident because last I had written my name quite well with the left hand. But then the Y, the curve was going here and there. So the way you write. And then as I kept on writing, it kept, the disorientation went more and more. The S was also not happening. So it was, instead of getting better, I felt more and more in the discomfort zone, extremely discomforted.
Yeah,
And it was getting more and more challenging every time.
Right.
But yes, the consciousness also at the same time grew that I want to do better. I want to do, but yes, the ability wasn't there.
Nice. Remember what you said because I'm going to call that back. Any one other person who feels like you want to add anything?
Yeah, I started off even with a simple I started making it. It became quite crooked, and then I was getting more conscious about how I want to write it. But it was a challenge just to write from the left hand and write all the letters the way I usually write it. It was not coming out. So the last word singer became like it was no longer cursive.
Okay.
So my style only changed, and I wasn't very happy with what I did then.
Did anybody throw away the pen? No. Did anybody stop writing?
No.
Did you give up?
I did write
Right.
stop it at the end of my sentence. Like I wrote what is happening, stop it. It's so bad what I'm writing right now.
Yeah, that's okay. But did you stop? No, you finished your sentence, right? Great.
Yes.
So here's the thing. So initially in your head, you probably said, oh God, how's this going to feel like? Name was okay. Now it begins to get more complex. And funny thing is that I don't know if there is such a thing as an easy sentence to write with your weaker hand. Okay? So because you did not, so there, some people wait for their pens away and they'll stop and say, I can't do it. Okay? So here's the thing. The next stage, oh, okay. So the groan zone is the unfamiliar, perceived risks, anxiety, temptation to return to the comfort zone. Okay? Now, some of you, and actually all of you, if you finished your sentence, what you did was actually go to the next stage. And I'm guessing that if you were given a little time, and here's my suggestion, that you try this out over the next week. Any opportunity you get where you're not being judged and measured by your handwriting, except your signature, try and write the other hand. Okay? And you will, a couple of things will happen. Just as Preeti described, this sense of, oh God, it's getting harder, and then it doesn't look good. That can also be a stage when you drop it and you say, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too tiring. And initially it will be tiring because your brain is trying to rewire itself to manage the newness of the scenario. But all of you rose to the occasion and stayed in the growth zone. See if you can push that limit. Okay? Because this is what we want our participants to do. This is what we want our children to do in the classroom or at home or anybody else. When we ask somebody to do something new, this is what tends to happen. First, they will complain and groan. And then at some point in time, very often, not with all activities, they will move from that groan zone to say, wow, this is really interesting. I'm enjoying writing with my other hand. I'm enjoying playing table tennis or badminton or whatever with my other hand. Okay, here are some other examples, which I'm not going to ask you to do, but I want you to think about it. And I don't know if you know the answer. Which leg do you put into your pants first?
Right.
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 Yeah?
Right.
Right.
I think when I visualized it right now, I think it is the left leg, although I'm a righty. So I don't know whether I'll have to do it again to see it. But when
Well, I said, don't do it now.
not now, not now, yeah.
So, figure that one out because the first time I was asked this question, I had the same response. I said, I'm not sure. And then I kind of figured it out. And then it became a conscious process that, when I'm wearing my pants, I say, okay, today is going to be the left leg. Try it out. So that's one. Do you have space to stand?
Yeah.
Wherever you are. And you don't have to be in front of the camera. It doesn't matter. Stand. And I want you to hop. Hop. Whichever leg. One leg hop. One leg hop. Which did you choose?
Left.
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 Right
I
leg.
chose the left.
Left.
I chose the left.
Did
Chose the
anybody
left.
left? Left? It's funny, no? A lot of right-handed people hop with the left leg.
Yes.
So just something to think about, that we build these patterns, and the patterns, so think of it this way. I find writing with my left hand difficult today. You do it for a week, it'll become easier to a point where you might even manage your signature. Now, this is what happens. And I'm going to use my annotator for that. Where's my annotator? Ah, here it is. Okay, so can you see the mouse? Okay, great. So the comfort zone, when that hand is it's becoming easier to write with the left hand, what happens is this zone grows as it becomes easier for you to do something. So when people say practice makes perfect, I don't know about the word perfect, but practice certainly makes something easier. Yeah. So when people say practice, 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 what they're really saying is, look, expand that comfort zone so you're not complaining each time you have to do something. And I think with children, especially when it comes to handwriting, and especially convent schools, they want your handwriting to be like, print. And they will always tell you practice, practice, practice. So this whole movement is from comfort, happy, joy, nothing much happens. Oh no, you want me to do something different? Hey, this is getting interesting. And our job as experiential educators is to keep people in this space, and they will move between, so they will keep moving. What can I use to, here it is. You see this dot? Yeah? Okay, so this zone expands, and now something else might become a grown zone. Okay, so I might learn to write with my left hand, but I may not be able to eat with my left hand. This is something I've been trying for years. You wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth, right? You brush your teeth with one hand. Try brushing your teeth with the other hand tomorrow or tonight, whenever. When you wash your face, some of us are two-handed, some of us are one-handed. Try the other hand. Oh, it's an amazing something. It's like almost like twinkling going on in the brain. It's such an exciting piece. I do it every day, and I'm getting better with my left hand because the right hand is in a hurry. But on a good day, when I say, oh, today's going to be a great day, I'll go and wash my face with my left hand and just enjoy that process. And what I have done over that period of time of, oh no, it's so hard. I actually started doing that because I had a shoulder problem and I couldn't lift my hand. And during that period, I started doing this. Really interesting. What happened to me was my comfort zone grew. I stopped groaning, and then I began enjoying it. So this growth zone is that place where you begin to enjoy even the discomfort of something. Have you ever felt that?
Yes. Yes.
I felt it. I felt it when I started running, and so this my run was very at a very slow pace. But at a certain point, it is like you want to give up. You want to start walking again, and oh God, what am I doing? And especially if I'm doing it near the beach in Pondicherry, why am I not watching the sea? Why am I doing this? Oh God. And the legs are aching, just below the calves it aches so much. And it is at that point either there have been so many times thresholds that but no, I know that this is, so I have been trained, no, this is the thing, and just go ahead, because there is something that you're enjoying too, and that rush of the blood.
So
And
you
then
sense,
but that's a long, that's quite a struggle there. And once I go that, I pass that, then I'm able to run a little more. And every day it's like, I can increase that 1 minute or 2 minute or 3 minute.
Right. Now, raise your hand if you've been through what she just described, that painful process with anything. Okay, almost everybody, right? Now, you know what? When, as educators, we find pleasure in doing this for our children. We call that schooling. We're saying no pain, no gain. And that may be true up to a point, but the pain does not. So the trick is this: how do we how do we do something so that it creates just enough pain for them to stay with it? But very often we push them so hard because we want them to be able to read and write at 2.5. You know that's true, right? You know, there are schools who where admission depends on whether that child can write an A, B, C, D at 2.5 and 3. Yeah. And the expectation, and I don't know about you, but I started at 6. And no matter what the government says, and no matter how many laws they pass, for some strange reason, we want to give them that pain, but we don't want to accept it ourselves. So just remember, that's the world of the educator. Cause somebody else some pain. Okay, we call it disequilibrium. And the beauty is in being able to play with this. And I'm talking a lot right now because then it's going to make the rest of what we're going to do today a little easier. Okay, let's move on. So this is what...
Vishwas, can I just ask a small question here?
Yes, please.
The discomfort zone is actually both in the groin and in the growth zone, right? When we talk about the discomfort zone, so it stretches, it starts beyond the discomfort zone, beyond the comfort zone, and it is extending both in the groin and the growth zone.
The blue and green, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
But you understood the difference, right? Yeah, groan is complaining, tendency to return to the comfort zone.
Yes.
Growth is, hey, I want to hang around here a little more. When it gets too much, I'll go back and I might. So movement is constantly like this.
So
Okay?
I have a doubt.
That's the movement. Okay, great.
And one more thing, Vishwas. Can I ask? Hello?
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, it's not guaranteed that if you are in a comfort zone and then you have a growth, then you will go to growth zone.
Can you speak more louder?
To pass through this.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes,
Was I audible?
Is that Bharat?
Yes, Vishwas.
Okay, I just speak into the microphone.
Yeah, so what I was saying that if you are in a comfort zone, if somebody is in comfort zone and he gets into a growth zone, it's not guaranteed that he will go towards the growth zone. I think going towards growth zone needs something more. I think something more. Because if you are in a growth zone, you can remain in a growth zone forever also. Like people get disappointed and depression and all these things and stress.
Absolutely. Agreed. So growth zone is when the person takes on the responsibility of doing it by themselves and begin to see something or enjoy it. It may not take the pain away, but it's a choice that they make. So in some ways, the line between the blue and the green is really choice.
Yeah.
And sometimes the choice is made by other people. And then, it's like, you get pushed, and I watched this wonderful serial on the Olympics, gymnastics, about it was actually about a different topic, but when they described the world of the gymnast, somebody who's aiming for the Olympics, it was all around pain and suffering. And most of them gave up gymnastics the first chance that they had. And this is true with all sports and a lot of things, and education as well. Raise your hand if you're a dropout. There you go. You know, you decided that you decided that there was no growth in it for you, and you stepped back to an area that was, and you chose your area of growth. And you said, okay, whatever happens, happens, but I'm going to make that choice. Okay, clear.
So I had a doubt. Sorry, am I pulling it too long?
Sorry?
I had a doubt. How do we know exactly how much to push a person, or how much grown zone do I
You want to
push
know?
him towards?
You want to know?
Yeah.
How soon do you want to know?
Sooner the better.
Okay, so this is what I use in class.
And
You know what that means? 5 years. If I do this, how much is that?
10 years.
Okay.
Okay, great. Got it.
Here's my request. Don't be in a hurry. Sometimes I think you already know it. You're just not conscious of it. Become a little more conscious of it. You'd be surprised how much you actually know. And the issue is not about how will I know. I think the issue is how conscious am I? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I see you smiling, so I'm assuming you got that. Okay, great.
Vishwas, sorry, I have one question.
Okay.
So I know this makes a logical sense that pain is need for growth, but is this inevitable, or is it the way we have been brought up, or the way we are conditioned to it? Like this, like for example, when I think of Max as a student, now when I grow up and I can see different types of ways of learning Max, I can see that Max is more fun. But when I was a young kid, it was maybe not that much of a fun, because the method used was not very child centric. It was very rote learning. So this experiential learning was not there. So is it more about? Is it also linked to the way information is being shared, or the way that push happens?
I'd say also. Yes, it is. So what we are trying to do is to make that transition between grown and growth a little easier by engaging them in different ways. Awake, stop. I need to continue. It'll answer itself.
Yes.
You guys, man, I knew this would happen. It had to happen at some point in time. Okay, so let's just move on with this. Okay, here's where we don't want to go. Okay, the panic zone is where, so comfort, no learning happens. Panic, no learning happens. Okay, panic is a state of avoidance. And a lot of children, Jeevan, to answer your question, a lot of children are taken to that panic zone very early, especially in the context of math, are taken to that panic zone very early because math is very clearly measurable. There's only one answer. You know what I'm saying? History, geography, you can have multiple answers because you describe it in a different way. But math, science by and large, a lot of science, there's only one answer. And that can be such a downer for somebody who's and it really prevents exploration. Which is why you'll have these people in your life who've said, what do you mean 2 + 2 is 4? It can also be 5. And they will explain it to you. There are some videos, wonderful videos of a Bihari teacher showing how, have you seen that? Yeah, okay. So if you can put it up on the group, please do that. It's a wonderful video of how it disproves a certain method. And you can't argue it because step is logical. But when you put those steps together, you begin to look at it and say, wow, how can that be? but it makes perfect sense. English as a language. Why do we spell certain things in a particular way? Crazy, right? Okay.
Yes.
That's not where we are going. Okay, great. So
Vishwas, sorry again. Why is panic zone after the growth zone? I mean, panic, does it come after growth?
yeah, because okay, so the rest of the models that follow are going to explain that. Okay, it means I do not have the capacity to deal with what's happening, and I run away or I fight it, which is why a lot of people fight maths or they run away from it. Yeah. Okay. Oh. So metaphorically speaking, just put in a different way, but using the metaphor of a candle. Have you noticed, there's a saying in Hindi, chirag tale andhera, diya tale andhera.
Yes.
Under the light, there's always darkness, and that's the shadow of the light. So it's this area we're talking of. Yeah? Okay, great. Where does the light fall? It falls here. That's your grown zone. Too bright. Some teacher wants you to learn math tomorrow. Really bright. Oh, I don't want to learn it. Can I take 5 years? Yeah, sure you can. Nobody told us that. And then there's this nice, dimmish, acceptable, manageable light. And of course, beyond that is darkness. That darkness is panic. So nothing happens there. Nothing happens in the shadow. And this is the arena that we play with in the learning process. Okay? So this is what happens when we take people into the darkness. These are examples. This is what people feel. You will be scared. You will fail. You will learn. But you don't know what there is to learn. So you could learn. So somebody takes you for a trek. How many of you have been on a trek? How many of you decided you're never going to go on a trek again because? No? Or play football. Okay, great. So at least one person here who's had that experience. Now, that's what you learned. And I'm not going to climb a mountain again because it was either too painful or it was too dangerous or somebody didn't take care of the physical safety or somebody rolled down the mountain. All these things happen in that dark zone. So you learn, never do that again. Is there anything in your life that you've said, I will never do that again? I'm not asking, but that would be a really interesting conversation. But don't tell me right now. Okay, so here we go. So you will learn, but what you learned was not to do it. So you will see yourself differently. Others will see you differently. Read the rest of it by yourselves. Okay. Theoretically, we don't ever want to take our participants to this area because we have no control over what happens. And very often our participants don't have control either. It's a no control zone. Great. Joseph Campbell in his book, A Hero with 1,000 Faces, is a beautiful book, completely unreadable, but try it. But it's a thin book. It's a wonderful book where he talks about mythology across different cultures and how it's the same story. And the story is every story has a hero, and the hero becomes a hero not by doing something remarkable, but taking that first step. The hero is always afraid of something. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And Ramayana is a wonderful example, and there's a whole bunch of every story is the hero's journey. Okay. That's one reading for you. Who is this?
Sorry, can you repeat the name of the book?
A Hero with 1,000 Faces. Okay. Sorry. You just Google Joseph Campbell and it'll come up. Okay. Who is this? Have you ever felt like that? Give me a nod or a thumbs up or yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. This is you in your classroom. Maybe me telling you a lot of things today. Today you might have this experience. Oh, damn, what's going on? Oh, ooh, whatever. You might feel like that today, which is why I've been prepping you and saying, you know what, we really need to cover ground. I want to give as much as possible. Stay as receptive as you can. You want to have more breaks, let's have them. But while we're in it, let's just stay with it. This is the classroom where you're being told things constantly. Okay? Actually, that word should be student listens or hears. I don't know. What's the difference? Whatever. Right? Don't talk. Sit in your place. Great. Have you felt like this?
Crazy.
Now, here's the thing. If you tell, kids are going to lose a lot. But if you demonstrate, then you've got their curiosity. Remember this? Remember that? Curiosity, what's coming next? There was a whole lot of things I could have done, a whole bunch of activities just for you to understand. But what I did was demonstrated. Yeah? Then I got you to do it. And I say, do that. Try it. Now see which thumb is coming on top. How do you clap? Do you clap like this? Do you clap like this? Do you clap like this? Clap. Quickly. Don't think. Clap. Right. Watch your hand now. Now watch your hand. Show me the Amitabh Bachchan clap. No? You haven't noticed? It's left hand over
left hand over right.
Yeah, left hand over right.
Very interesting. A lot of people clap like this or like this.
He's a lefty.
You see? Yeah. Very
Even at times, Narendra Modi claps like that.
Like that? Left hand?
Yeah, left hand.
Cool. This is where so here's you right now. I'm looking at your faces and saying, this is you right now. Raise your hand if you've got at least one question in your head right now. Right, but you haven't put it into the chat, so. But you'll have a question and you'll figure it out yourself. So here's the thing. Here's a relationship between how much learning happens. Okay? Just by the act of questioning, you do something and I ask you questions, I'm engaging you in that whole process. And which is why this dialogue is happening. At some point in time, like I said, okay, enough, no more questions. I just need to run through some stuff. Okay? So sometimes I take charge and I go back to the telling mode. So just remember that nothing is, the whole idea is to be able to move between these. Yeah. So there are times you have to do this, but there will also be times when you're doing the questioning thing. So see if you can vary your style between this, because that's what keeps students engaged. All classrooms are power games. All relationships are power games. So I'm not going to go into the details. You will have this material as slides.
Yeah.
But these are, These are the kind of questions, different kind of questions will get you different things. You'll get the brain to do different things. The recall will be done in a particular way. When you process it, you can get them to do the comparing, contrasting, experimenting, application, speculation, theorizing, predicting. That's theoretical. You can do your own study on this, okay? Just know that this is how it works. Okay. Of all the words we've used so far, which word best describes this? Type it
Comfort.
on the screen if you want.
Comfort.
You know how to annotate, right?
Yeah.
Write the words that come to mind. Go to annotate, text, and type in words that describe this. Okay? Go on. Is that it? Joy, comfort, boring, a good boring life, chilling, aish, comfort, mundane. How about a word that teachers use for their children to describe their children?
Can you repeat your question?
Ah, there it comes, lazy. Yeah? Okay, nice. Let's just keep that there. Give me words for this. I think we'll have to clear that, no? Wait, give me a second. Let me just, oh, where the hell is that? Okay, go on. Thank you. Fear, worry, afraid, tense. Yeah. So obvious, right? Okay, so these are two extreme states of being. Oi. Help. How do I get this thing back? Yeah, okay, got it. Ah. Just, it's a wonderful word. Just keep an eye on that, okay? I'm gonna have to take them away or maybe keep them. I don't know what to do, man. You guys decide.
You want me to clear the screen, Vishwas?
Yeah, maybe. Okay. So here are the two states. Two things determine our response to any situation. Our capacity to act. Oh, by the way, can you hear the peacock? Yeah? Discovered
Yes.
that the hill behind our place.
Is he stuck?
I think sir's video is stuck.
Oh, you're back. Huh. Did you hear anything I said? No.
No, it was frozen.
Yeah, my internet connection is unstable. How wonderful is that? Okay. While we're still at that, let's just look at that. Opportunity to act, but no capacity gets us anxious. Clear connections being made? Great. Huge capacity, capable, but no opportunity, and we can get bored. There are other words that can also be used. You use relaxation. Somebody said relax. But we can now move across this space, and that's our area. This is where we want to really do our stuff, is to incite and inspire. What does he look like? I mean, what kind of state of being do you think he's in?
Oh,
Huh?
state of flow.
He's engrossed.
Okay, let's just listen to him while he's in that state of flow, okay? Wonderful. I have to show you another one. And how do I do that? Okay, here we go. I want you to watch this.
This person has a tail.
Is it full screen, Jane?
And it's either a chicken head or a bunny.
Oh, it's a unicorn.
I don't know if
Come
you
on.
need any background.
Who does that? I've never seen that on No Cap. Wow. And Alex is gone.
Okay, so he's entering the Hollow Flake at 6:49.
He just did the Hollow Flake down climb and is in the Hollow Flake now.
Okay, this is a guy
And then the thing
climbing.
about Freerider is that
3,000
from the base of the Hollow Flake,
without
it's
any
one
rope.
crack system all the way to the top,
No
which
room
is
for error.
what, 2,000 feet.
That's the most magnificent crack on planet Earth.
Dustin, this is Jimmy. Do you know if they've radioed if he's gotten to the monster yet?
Yeah, he's there now.
By the way, this is real, okay? What do you think is going on with him?
He's almost through it.
There, he's coming up now, actually.
Now we see him like at the same height as the spire. But you guys are all in.
I'm not saying anything. Your turn. How do you respond to something like that?
Madness.
But determined.
Brilliant.
Adventurous.
Like you see the determination in them.
Inspired.
They're driven.
Inspired.
Right. Easy. Now, this is what you think. Now, describe to me his state.
Must be scared at that time.
Must be scared and tired.
Tired.
Focused.
Why don't you throw those words there? Just throw those words there. Annotate.
Maybe many thinking, many things are going in his mind. Yeah, I think.
Vishwas, I have one question. We are talking about this man or the free solo guy?
Or
We are talking about this old man or the free solo one?
either.
Either.
What's the relationship with time in that moment?
Timeless.
What's the relationship with image?
Relationship with?
Their image.
No thought at all.
Huh?
No thought at all of her image.
Nothing
Doesn't
matters.
matter.
Doesn't matter at that time.
Nothing really matters, right?
Yeah.
That moment.
Just
Okay.
that moment.
Right. Brilliant. And that is what's referred to as the flow state. Now, how do you know flow? And we all know flow.
We all know flow.
Have you ever done and been so involved with it that you forgot time? You forgot everything else?
Yeah, like we're feeling right now with you.
You're in a state of flow. Okay, cool. Great. So we're introducing you to concepts and just ideas and thoughts on, okay, so what determines what people do and why they do them and how they do them. Remember these two things, capacity to act, opportunity to act, and we'll be using different words. So next time you do something with anybody else, or you give your class something or your child something to do, please do consider these two things that, for example, parents create loads of opportunity without building capacity, and they hope that the child will be able to manage. And it might include writing ABCD or drawing a straight line, flower, whatever else it is. So how do you know state of flow? And this is how the guy who came up with this theory, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi.
Vishwas?
Yeah.
I think the Prezi is a little blurred for everyone. Can you just stop sharing and share again? Maybe it might become clear.
Okay.
Yeah, for me also the screen is not clear.
Yeah, it is just blurry.
Yeah, I thought it was just for me now. Thank God.
Any better?
No.
No.
Okay, let me try again. Are you seeing anything now?
No.
We
No?
can see you now.
Okay. Scary, no? Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. So how do we know state of flow? We're getting immediate feedback. He's listening to that note and going, whatever it is that he's doing, all those faces. This guy is feeling the rock and he knows exactly when to make that move. You have to watch that movie. It's available on Prime Video. It's called Free Solo. Okay.
Actually.
Action and awareness merge. He's not going to make that next move either on the rock or on the guitar till he's completely aware of that moment. He's completely aware. And it's all happening all at the same time. Don't ask me how. People have tried to figure it out. They do say that when people are in that state, that it's a state of intense meditation.
Slide is again.
Gone?
I think the slide has again become hazy.
Blur.
Blurred again.
Okay.
Blurred again.
Oh. Okay. Okay. I'll try again. Okay. Great. So that's one way of looking at it. Flow Theory by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. It's a fat book, but this is the basic concept. There's a lot available. I've put some videos on the drive as well. In the context of adventure, the concept is the same, but we just use different words. Okay, competence and risk. So risk was opportunity, competence was ability. Different words. And just remember why we're doing this. Our purpose is to get people in that place in between so that competence and risk or opportunity and challenge are matched.
Vishwas, is your internet slow today?
I think so. It
Yeah.
might improve. We just put off everything else. It might improve. Is it still bad now? Okay, but you can read it, right?
No, it's a bit blurry.
That's it, right? Wear glasses.
So maybe Vishwas, you can just describe it instead of just showing it. You can just describe what is on the slide.
Can you read the words?
No, it's blurry.
It's that bad, huh?
Yeah.
Should we try switching off our videos and see if it makes better?
Yeah, we can try that.
Only Vishwas can have his video. We can turn it off and see.
Okay.
Let's try that.
But I need a couple of people to tell me whether it's still working or not.
We have our audio on.
Is it better?
It's still the same.
Can you stop the
It's
share?
getting better. It's getting better, I guess.
Okay, I'm gonna redo it. Okay. Should I share it from here to my computer? The problem is the net, no?
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Great. So do put your video on when you have something to say or you want to chat. Okay. Right.
Okay.
This is the third piece that I want to go into a little more detail, and it's by Lev Vygotsky, and it's called Zone of Proximal Development. And he uses level of competence, level of challenge, and he describes it very interestingly. What the learner can't currently achieve even with guidance, and what the learner can currently achieve independently. So independence and absence of guidance, what they do in the absence of ability or opportunity is what this describes. And if we want to achieve that mid place, that wonderful sweet spot of flow, where challenge and competence are matched, then what the process that we use, and I'm going to use some words to describe it currently, is scaffolding. You've seen a building. When a building is being constructed, it has this structure on the outside so people can climb and do something on, and the scaffolding is always built from the ground up. Now, the way we need to remember to do things is build competence, create opportunity or increase challenge, give them more competence, and that's how we move up this. So always when you're thinking of something to do with your children and your group, please check whether they have competence first and what competence they have, and match it with that, because what's really important is what we do is for them. And we got to remember that. What we do, remember that quote in the first session? What we do, does anybody remember it?
Sorry, we first didn't get your point. What did you do in the first session?
Yeah, the first session, I had this beautiful quote out there. What we do is about them. How we do it is about us. So when we choose to do something with our group, when you choose whatever it is, please be conscious of where the group is, not where what the organization wants or the institution wants or what sixth standard kids should be able to do. Completely irrelevant in the context of the reality of that moment when you are in that classroom.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what it means, and build from there. Now, here's the thing that he introduces very interesting. He says there's something called the zone of proximal development. So development doesn't necessarily happen just by the interaction between teacher and student. There's a whole lot of people in the student's life where people know stuff, and all of them can contribute to that student's learning about that subject. And he calls those people the more knowledgeable other. So put a thumbs up. I don't know if a thumbs up will show now that your video is not there, but put a thumbs up if you have somebody who's MKO for you. Great. And just remember this, because and how our whole intention in the education system, whichever group we are in, is for people to recognize that you're not the only source of knowledge. So I'm not the only source of knowledge for you. Go out there and find out somebody. The issue is, how much do I know and who do I think knows a little more about it? And you'll find different people for different things. Okay? So peer group work is an example of getting students to reach out to each other, because other people, other students are also knowledgeable about other things. Okay, so far? Thumbs up, thumbs down. You see, that's the beautiful thing about Zoom. They don't give you a thumbs down emoji. It's only yay or this. Great. Okay, let's move on. Do you want a break?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Good. This
Long
is
as it doesn't
that logical place for us to take a break. So take 5 minutes, get your coffee, your chai, your water, take a bio break, whatever. I'll just leave something on the screen for you to read. So I'll be back in less time than the others. So if you have any questions, just put them up in the chat for now. Any questions?
I have one question. Like when you have a very mixed group where the competencies are at different level and you don't have the choice of really creating different groups, which is the problem with online right now. If it was physical, we could have easily made different groups and given activities as per their levels. Then obviously for me the tendency is to ensure that uh, people at the lowest competency, I'm able to support them. Then I get the feeling that children who have higher competency, they may feel bored because they know that stuff. So I don't know how to manage when you have a group with different competencies and you can't divide them to, to do different activities, or maybe I have to try that.
Are you talking about face-to-face classrooms or Zoom?
Zoom. Face to face
You know
is
what?
better.
Zoom offers, you can do breakout rooms.
Yeah, Zoom offers breakout room, but I think we are not using Zoom. We are using Google Classroom, which doesn't have that option.
Use technology, lady. Okay.
I have another question. So, so when we're talking about disequilibrium, I think even in a classroom environment, that phase where somebody goes through that discomfort is probably different for each person in a classroom, right? So, how does that play from a role of a facilitator? And at that space of disequilibrium is learning a conscious. I mean, is a learner aware of the process of learning, or how? I mean, I'm just trying to understand. Is the learning an aware journey?
We're moving into that space now.
Okay.
So it will answer itself.
Okay.
Okay, great. So just know that there are areas of control and areas of no control, and we need to become more and more conscious about it. Okay, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff now. Now, here's what we're dealing with. And as I describe this, I'm really going to, what I'm going to do is to tell you a story. This is about a group of 11th graders that I took on an outdoor adventure program. I'm going to talk about it in the context of 5 different things. So I'm going to begin with the first one. And okay, what's the objective? Why are we going out? What's the reason for going out? And just remember, just because I'm using an adventure scenario here does not mean that it's not valid for a classroom. The same questions are valid. It's just that the problem is we don't ask them anymore because somebody gives you a worksheet and says deliver. But we need to ask these questions. You know, what are the expectations from the school? What are the expectations from the children? What are our reasons for gathering there? What are we there to learn? All that. And here are some questions that might help you resolve this or answer this. So this school that I was taking these kids out, here are my answers for this particular, the objective. One, they were from a school. They were 11th graders. They were doing their 11th and 12th in school. So they had uniforms, but they also had cell phones. And this was years ago, cell phones had just arrived. So any cell phone was like a huge, big thing. Okay. The school said these kids don't talk to each other. They fight because they come from different backgrounds, different schools, and then they've come to this place. And can you help them stop fighting and start helping? We also want them to learn about decision making because they're in that stage in their life, and we want them to understand what leadership means, and we want them to gel and bond. Okay, and we want them to behave like a community. Standard, right? Everybody wants this for everybody else, right? So now it's a question I have to ask myself as well. Why am I doing this? And my reasons were I like working with young people, and I love the outdoors, adventure. uncertainty, and exertion. So these were my answers. Ask yourself these questions because they are critical to having a little, to doing anything purposefully. Second piece in the life of educators, we have an audience. Who are these people? Where do they come from? And these are the questions I asked myself. What do I know about their current physical, social, and emotional condition? Well, they were 11th graders. They were fairly fit, co-ed. They came from different backgrounds, economic, cultural, and different schools. All of them lived very comfortable lives because the fees of the school, it was a fairly elite school. The fees were being paid fairly high. Most decisions were being made by parents or teachers. They had very little uncertainty in their lives because decisions were being made by somebody else anyway. They expected everything to come to them and be done by others. They were energetic, playful, and fairly physically fit. So it was okay to take them where I took them. What do they want? And that's a really important question, even in a regular classroom, not just at the beginning of the year, but every day, every topic, every subject. How do they want to function? What do they want from that topic? What are they interested in? What's their curiosity? What do they know about it? What do they want to know about it? All these are really important questions that we need to ask them. And we need to find out. So I did a session with them for a couple of hours before we went. And it was also about logistics. It was also about what is, we're going into the outdoors. What is it that you want to do? And they came up with the fairly regular stuff: adventure, camping, water activities. We want to do a trek. We want to cook out by ourselves. We want a campfire, and we want good food. Okay, great. You notice there's no learning agenda here, right? Good, great. Third piece, we're also always doing something. Oh, yeah, this is important. What do I need to be mindful of? The 11th graders. They're going through the hormone rush. As I describe the scenario a little more, you'll understand why I'm saying this. They're at an impressionable age. They're watching a lot of TV. They're being, fashions high on their list.
Vishwas, your voice is breaking off.
Yeah. Sorry. Did somebody say something?
Yes, your voice just broke off.
Oh, okay. Is it okay now?
No, it is a problem on my end. I'll take it.
Okay, great. Third piece, where are we going to be? What's the environment? What's the setting? Is it a classroom? Is there any room to play? Is there a playground? Are we in the outdoors? Are we on a hill? Are we under the sky? What kind of elements are they going to be exposed to? Wind, water, jungle, desert? This is by and large adventure. Do they have fans in the classroom? Is it air conditioned? Do they have curtains? Is the sun coming in? Is there enough light? There's so much that affects learning environment. And this is the setting. So when I took them out, I said, do I have a sense of place? I had been there before, so I knew the place. It was a tented accommodation. It was on the banks of a river. There was no electricity. Now, combine teenagers, no electricity, tents. Okay, I see the smiles. You know what I'm talking about. Great. So this is something we need to know. Okay. These are the questions that you can ask. So the environment, safety issues, snakes, scorpions, spiders, lizards, elephants were known to visit the campsite fairly regularly. No electricity. Okay, this is what I was dealing with. Anybody from Bangalore? Yeah, many of you are from Bangalore, right? Right. So if you've been to Dodumakli, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. So that's where it was. Right. So the setting is also really important. Now here's the story. This is the story of a girl. We were doing an activity. This is what the activity kind of looked like. The rest of the group were going to pull other participants up. So you had somebody who was harnessed, and the rope went through, not exactly that way, but certain equipment, uh, and they were going to pull this person up. So the fun in this, what was it? Was it just pulling somebody up? No. They started from here, and on the word go, they started running forward, and this group were going to haul them up. So then you have this huge swing movement going on. Yeah? Great. So I noticed there was this girl who was 20 feet away, and she just wanted to watch. I said, okay, that's fine. Every two people that went up, I would ask her, would you like to do it? So there were about 30 children. By the 15th kid, I asked her, she kind of gave me a smile for the first time. Till then, it was all, I knew she was scared, she was nervous, she didn't want to do it. By the 15th kid that went up, she felt like, I don't know what she felt, but whatever. She smiled. I said, do you want to come closer? She said, no. I said, would you like to wear a harness? She said, if I wear a harness, you'll make me do it. I said, no, I will not do that. You have the freedom to back off anytime. You don't have to do it. But just wear a harness, just to know what a harness feels like. So she put on the harness and she waited there. A couple of kids later, I said, would you like to come closer? She said, yeah, I'll come a little closer, but promise me you won't make me do it. I said, no, I won't make you do it. She came a little closer. Over time, she moved from there to agreeing to be hooked into the rope. Okay, now she's on the rope and she says, I just want to be 2 inches off the ground. And at that point in time, I had to have a chat with the entire group and say, look, here's a person, and many of you were scared, but she's just having some trouble doing it. And what we're going to do is we're just going to listen to her. So they hauled it up, tightened the rope 2 inches off the ground. I say, you okay? I said, yeah. A little more? Yeah, just a little, maybe 2 more inches. I said, okay. And if you've done adventure activities, you know there's that stretch in the rope and you begin to feel it, right? Anyway, to cut a long story short, this is her at the end of that journey. She's 40 feet high and she gives the most radiant smile I've seen. I still remember it. Okay? Now, what made it possible? And this is important. She made the choices. I didn't make the choices for her. She had the freedom to back off anytime she wanted. Okay? She needed to feel a sense of control, and whatever got her to that point was what I needed to help her with. I needed to get to that place where she felt she was in control and she took charge and she said 2 inches, 2 inches, 1 foot, 2 feet, and then all the way up. She was in control. She decided how far she wanted to go, not me. Success was not. You see, the problem with schooling is we have a fixed place. Success means what? 36%? Whatever, right? And now it's a fixed place. But what if we just told our children, look, success is not what the board says, it's what you decide. And what is it you want to decide success to be? Can that be 50%? Sure. Can it be 60? Sure. It can be anything you want to, but you make the decision. What does success mean to you? What if we have that conversation with children? Of course, there are always boundaries. There are time boundaries, there are space boundaries, there are relationship boundaries. We work within those boundaries. She knew that she could only be, worst case scenario, she could be the last person. But for somewhere in her head, She figured that out and she chose to jump in before the last person. She made that choice. She knew it was going to end. Children know that at the end of the year, they need to be in another classroom, and they will. But why do we make those decisions? Why can't we leave that to the children to decide? What if a kid decides, hey, you know what? I like fifth standard. Can I please attend it again? And why can't we say, yes, sure you can? Because what they're doing in that time is going to that beautiful flow place where they feel in control and capable of succeeding in everything that they do. It was also affected by the setting. It wasn't another activity. Say, no, I won't do it now, I'll do it next time. That was the only chance she had. That was the choice she was making. That was the choice I gave her. I said, we can't do this again. You can decide whether you want to do it or not. Yeah, huge. Yeah, Preeti, you said
Yeah,
something.
yeah, which was just I mean, I'm trying to understand this situation that happened in school, a scenario just like that, and now I can understand it much better. The clarity comes much better. In the sense, this girl in Mirambika, she was emotionally not adjusting with her particular grade. So her mother put in. So this was in the uh, it's called the green group. So it was a 6-year level, and so her mother put in a request that to the classroom teacher that why can't we retain her and she be with another group and see if she settles in emotionally, because she was brilliant in her academics. In a sense, there's no academic much in Mirambika at that time. There's no reading and writing, but in her understanding, her mental concepts and everything. So but her emotional growth was so. And when the teacher actually agreed to that and they took it up as a challenge, and I mean, I'm seeing the child now. She's 13 years old. She's brilliant. I mean, she's emotionally so much in control, and she loved that group that she was in. The other, she gelled in so well, and it was now I'm seeing that yeah.
Who made the decision?
Yeah, the decision was made by the parent, but I think the parent was in sync with her child, and she understood her child very well. Uh, that's
See, this
yeah.
is where I back off and I say, this is what all parents think.
Mm.
Okay? Here's my son. I don't know. I can think I'm in sync. And he looks at me and says, are you crazy? And I'm thinking, okay, you can go back. And I'm thinking that imagine if the child had the freedom to make that choice. That's all I'm saying. You see, the problem is we think we're doing things for a greater good for somebody else and we think we are right. So yes, it worked, but there are an equal number of cases where I'm
Yeah,
sure it didn't work.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great. So just something to consider, because when we work with groups, if we walked into that classroom as educators saying, I know more than you and I'm right and you are not,
Doesn't work.
problem. Yeah? Okay, that's the concept we're talking about. That can we include them? Can we invite them into that space to make the decisions? Because now it's hers. Okay, here's the story. My teacher told me they were doing this high rope activity in the US. There was this girl who was not interested. She just, same story, different outcome. So finally, at the end of it, that kid got so irritated, she said, okay, I'll do it. Okay, so she goes up, does it like a pro, comes down, and my teacher went and asked her, how was it? She said, yeah, it was okay. You made me do it. Okay. This is the critical piece, faith in our own ability and willingness to risk entering a new world, the choice being made by her. It's so important. Okay. So, fourth piece, do you have the resources? This is simple and straightforward. Tools, support staff, education. Am I managing? So I'm introducing the idea of PIES here. PIES stands for physical, intellectual, emotional, social. Okay? It's going to be coming up over and over again, not just in the context of safety, but also when we talk about, no, we're not doing design in this, but we'll talk about it again. It'll come up. Okay. Do I have an alternate plan? Always another story to show you how alternate plans work. Okay, fifth piece. You, me, whoever that educator is, who is that person? Where do they come from? What's their background, their training, their temperament, their do they have a temper? Are they quick gun Muruguns? Who exactly is out there? Okay, and important to have that conversation before stepping into that space with the classroom. I remember when I first started teaching, the first time I walked into teaching 8th grade biology, I noticed that when I walked into that, you know, there's a door, the door has an arch, and there is that Lakshman Rekha, so to speak. Outside in the corridor, you're X. The moment you cross that line, you're a teacher. And for a long time, I couldn't figure out this switch coming on. I said, what the hell is this? So it was okay to mingle and fool around outside the classroom. You enter the classroom, look serious, act serious, keep them at a distance. There are good children and, oh God, crazy stuff. And over the years, I just said to hell with that. I want to become more conscious of that switch coming on and off. Okay, so just I might do something, you know, if this whole Zoom thing works out. Um, I might be doing something in the context of how we can become better educators in the context of facilitation. So facilitator development in the context of the cells. I might be doing something later on. If you're still interested, then stay in touch. Okay, great. So these 5 things really affect what we do. I want you to be aware of them. This is going to come to you. Go through it in your own time. You can ask questions later. Okay? Here's where the fun begins. We are a community. We're going to stay together for 10 weeks. We need to build that community. Chetan's going to break you up into, you're going to go into breakout rooms and you have 10 minutes. Oh, good. You know this is going to extend today, right?
Yes, it's okay.
And these are the questions. So if you can write them down somewhere, that'll be nice. And I just want to guarantee that your conversation will never be complete. So I wonder if I should even give you 10 minutes. I'm going to give you only 7.
Vishwas and doubt, you have mentioned what are your expectations from me? That means from you, from Vishwas, or?
Yeah, me. Yeah, me.
Sure.
Sorry, I should have said that. Okay? So have a note taker. Note taker can be somebody who's good at typing, because we're going to put it up on the screen all together and look at it. Okay? So Chetan, you want to take charge? Where's Che?
He's there. Chetan, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm going to break you all out into rooms and remember to type out your answers for 7 minutes. Okay. Remember to type it out. So when y'all are back, whoever's typed it out can annotate it on the screen in your group's room.
And I will visit the room for a few minutes in case you have questions. But try not to have them. Just go by whatever you understood. Okay.
Cool.
Go.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
We have 7 minutes, so I'm assuming each of us just go quickly with our answers.
But before that, let us figure out who's going to type it out.
Oh.
I could type it out, I mean.
Okay, Soumya. Great. So the first question was, what will help us enhance the learning?
Yeah.
Dheeraj, do you want to add something?
What will help us enhance the learning?
See, for me, conceptual framework of what is experiential education, a clarity on it.
Okay, Soumya, you making note?
Yeah, I'm just writing conceptual framework of what is experiential education, right? Does that? Yeah.
Anyone wants to add anything to that?
I think also probably to enhance the learning, it'll be interesting to see case studies like what Vishwas actually shared.
Yeah, that's
but I think with different contexts and with different themes, I think might help me.
Yeah, and I also feel that probably if you just wait for one person to give out all the case studies, that might be endless. So maybe in small groups we can break out, and then we can brainstorm, and we can also share some experiences and come back.
Yeah. So small groups to basically share experiences and learnings from each other, right? Anyone else?
Vaishnavi?
I don't know. Actually, I'm just figuring out.
Okay. So we are already 3 minutes up. I think we must move into the next question.
Yeah, we can go on to the next one.
What are your expectations from each other?
Expectations from each other.
I think it overlaps with the previous question which we were talking about. Probably we can share experiences about outdoor education from each other, so that the learning becomes more vast.
Yeah. And to share our own context and compare it to that framework from what usually exists.
Dheeraj?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think from each other, if we could have more dialogues, and interact more, share ideas, I think that would help, because again, as Vishwas is there, but together we can even kind of interact and ask each other's more questions. I think that would be better, and try to help each other, maybe as a team.
Yeah. I think also I might just add that it'll be interesting for each of us to talk about a specific work challenge that we're facing, maybe with the experiential process, and it might be interesting to get diverse opinions on how that might be approached. So
yeah, absolutely. So
I'm assuming somebody is typing this out.
Yeah, Soumya is typing it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now the last question.
Yeah. What are your expectations?
Expectations from
Vishwas.
Yeah, to make as much as experiential on this platform. That's the experience would like to get from him. So my expectation first that I said that conceptual framework and our sharing in our context, and from him to facilitate as much as experiential the process so that we can practice it here.
Facilitate it as experientially as.
Yeah, as much as possible within the limit. We know that it's an online, but
yeah.
I think, sorry, is anybody else saying anything? I think I had a couple of.
No, go ahead, Samya.
Okay. I think one was to see how this whole experiential learning sort of evolves in an online and an offline context is something that I'm very interested in understanding given the times that we are in. So,
yeah. So what is the expectation from Vishwas?
I think to be able to sort of make it a dynamic experiential process in online versus offline. I mean, what is it that we can do specifically online and offline? Offline, we sort of, I still have experience, but I think in online, some level of focus on that might help for me.
Yeah, you can pen it down. Dheeraj, any inputs? Dheeraj is very experienced in our group.
Oh, nothing such. I think we all are learning from each other. I think what are your expectations from Vishwas? Yeah, I think maybe he could give us more hands-on experience on how exactly experiential learning, because I felt in the last 2 days there was a lot of more focus on the concept of the whole thing. So maybe if some
more
kind
practical,
of
you mean?
More practical, yeah. Maybe a little more practical view of the whole thing and how we apply these things, and that could even help us better.
Yeah, so more practical and then more application based. Huh?
Yes.
Kabirji, any inputs?
Yeah, almost same thing. All right.
Great. Vaishnavi? Okay. All right, Samya, you got that in writing?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, you want to go through it once again?
Yeah, I was just thinking, we could. Yeah, so for what will help us enhance learning, conceptual framework of what is experiential education, that's one.
Yeah.
Case studies based on themes and concepts within the scope of experiential education. And third is small groups to share experiences and learnings which will help each other. Yeah. The second question was expectations from each other in this program. First one was sharing experiences of experiential teaching with the teaching and that experience of that with each other, to share our own context and compare it, more dialogues with each other, interact and share more ideas, and discuss each other's challenges. Am I missing anything here?
No, I think go ahead. Next question is expectation from Vishwas.
From Vishwas, to facilitate it as experientially as possible. Give more hands-on experience, more focus on practical solutions rather than conceptual knowledge, and application of what we learn in the real world.
Yeah, let us not say rather than conceptual, probably along with conceptual.
In addition to?
Yeah, in addition to, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Samya,
given the limitations of given the limitations of the online platform that we are using.
Absolutely. Had it been like, in a place, this would have been brilliant. It would have been outstanding. So online makes it.
I think one more point, if that comes to my mind, is from each other, maybe apart from the sessions that we are having, if we could patch up in a small group of maybe 5-6 individuals like this and share notes and go back to whatever was taught and have our own understanding, because in a bigger group, I understand it's difficult to ask questions, and there must be a lot of questions in our own mind. So if in a smaller group we can interact amongst each other sometime and come up with our own understanding of whatever we learned in the class, so that way it becomes like a revision for us and a clarification of whatever doubts we may be having in our minds.
Yeah,
great idea.
Good, Dheeraj. I think that can go into point number 2. Samya, it can go into point number 2, right? And we just have about 8 seconds.
The breakout room. Yes, let's go back.
Good job, guys. Yeah, thank you very much.
Great. Did you have a good conversation? Got some answers?
Yes.
Che, you want to tell them what to do now?
Vishwas, you will have to do the share.
Yeah, I will do that.
So Vishwas is going to share his screen, and there's going to be 4 different sections on the page. And whoever was taking notes, we'd like you to type out your answers by annotating in your part of the room.
We can copy paste.
Yeah. If you've typed it out, you can just copy paste it.
Didn't notice the room numbers that were assigned to us.
You know what to do, right?
It was 4. It was 4.
That's the question.
Still that will be this one. Ache, yeah, you need to take a screenshot. How do I take a screenshot?
Oh, you can just, in your annotation, there's a save button on top.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It will be tough to read. That's okay.
Just go ahead and do whatever. We'll work it out later. Is that so? What we have is that room 3 or oh, okay? Is that room 1? Can you format that a bit? Just put it into the block.
Sure. I'm not sure how to do that. Can you help me?
I think the problem here is like once we paste, we can't edit it again. So we'll have to clear it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, fine. Let it be. We'll take a picture then.
So try, when you make the text box in the beginning, just try using the whole box.
Yes.
Expand the box. Yeah.
In the beginning only when you make it.
So expand the text box.
Che, you may have to help me here. I tried pasting the information, but I see it being overlapped with the room 3 content.
You're in the first room, the black colored text?
I see blue. Mine is in blue.
The blue one. Okay.
So that should go to room 4.
Oh, so you might have to just undo that. There's an undo button on top. And then go to your text tool again, and then click in the room 4 area.
Okay.
Yeah, baby, I got control.
Yeah, Vishwas, you can move it around as well, I think. Since you're
I'm the boss. Is there anything under what are your expectations from me?
Yeah, there are.
Oh, okay.
Can you
I think I'll try to. Yeah, I'll try to.
If you remove the case, it might work.
Okay, I'll do something.
Ah. Okay. Okay. Great. So this is what we are going to do. I'm going to, we're not discussing this at this point in time. I'm just going to take a look at it. And I think in some way respond to as many as I can whenever I can between now and the next session. Is that okay?
Give me 1 minute.
Okay. Room 3 disappeared.
Yeah, I'm trying to paste it again.
Reduce font, I guess.
Okay, right.
Okay. While she's, oh, okay. Got it. So save.
Which was in that case, can they send it to you so that it's in a proper format so nothing's left out? Since you're going to respond to it later.
Yeah, that's fine too. So those of you who have typed it out, if you can send it to me, that would be great. Yeah? Thumbs up?
Sure.
Yes.
Can we continue?
Yes.
Okay. Oops. Okay. The next half an hour is going to be crazy. I got to run you through this. I hope you have your learning styles inventory ready with you.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to very quickly walk you through some pictures, and it was intended to have a longer conversation, but I think we're going to have to run through this a bit. You see that face?
You'll have to share screen again. The screen's
Sorry?
not.
Can't see?
No, there's no screen
No.
share. You'll have to share screen again.
We see your face.
Oh, damn. Where did that go? Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very quickly type out what you see there. What words describe this character? And do it on the right side, okay? On that side, ideally. Around. Around him. Okay, great. I'm going to show you another character. Describe who she might be. Okay. Nice. Lots of interesting words, more than bored. Okay. They're part of the same setting. Okay? Now, do you think both of them are learning anything? Yes or no? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Or maybe you can do this.
Yes,
The right side one is learning.
Learning more. The boy is learning more. Topi wala.
No, the other one also, he is observing.
Okay.
I think both are learning.
Great. Good. So people learn differently. What's the basic thing here? People learn differently. Okay. We need to remember that. Most of our schooling is designed for, we make an assumption that the noisy kid isn't learning and the quiet one isn't learning, and everybody else who responds nicely to yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, are the only ones learning. Great. That's the principle. And how do they learn? There's so many different ways. And we as educators, we need to be a little more conscious of that. Okay? Great. Going to quickly run you through this and arrive at what we want to really focus on. So just remember that before this methodology really took off, okay, just quick. We know this, right? I'm going to be giving you these slides anyway, so don't waste your time writing currently. Okay? It's our job. That's what we need to do. Great. So here's the different ways that it started. That, you know, people took children or groups into the mountains and they found a huge difference in the way they behaved, and the energy was different when they came back. Have you felt that? Great. Everybody shakes their head. And they said, hey, you know what? Let's take them out. They're bound to be affected by it. Sure. Experience is a powerful thing. So if this is true, then our job would be to structure and organize learning activities in which the experience itself does the teaching. Makes sense, right? So why don't we spend our time just creating experiences? Okay, so that method for a long time was let the mountains speak for themselves. Because the experience itself is so powerful that it'll change them. शादी कर लो, पता चलेगा जिंदगी क्या है. बच्चे होने दो, बच्चे हो जाएंगे तब सीख जाएगा आपकी नादान है. Sorry, those of you who don't understand Hindi, these are classic statements in all Bollywood movies. You know, get him married, then he'll have children. But now he's 60, like me, has children, but still akal nahi aa rahi. Kya karenge? That's also a possibility. That you can go through it your entire life and not really come up with much. And I'm guessing you've met elderly people who don't have that, right? They've just been, and so they've been through 80 years of experience. But when you encounter them, you don't necessarily feel the energy of wisdom or anything like that. Yeah? Why is that? So they said, hey, you know what? Maybe an experience is not enough. Let's do one thing. Let's do a little reflection. Let's talk about it. And sometimes the educator spoke for that experience. And so they called it, so experience is followed by periods of reflection. And sometimes we overdo this. Yeah? So reflection is important, but it's important for us to ask the questions and get the reflection done by our students, not give it to them. It's that, you know, even in our language, the way we frame a question, the mountain was beautiful, right? Maybe not. Today is a wonderful session, right? I've taken the answer away from you. You better say right. You better say yes. So the way we frame our question is critical to what comes from it. Okay, we're going to do that a little later. Then they said, it's not enough just to talk about it. They should be able to apply it somewhere. So this is the third stage model. So let's do something. So then it became purposeful. That they said, oh, we want to learn something, so let's do something, then let's talk about it and see if it's true. A lot of scientific method is based on this. The only thing is, it starts from here. Anything you throw up must fall. Then you throw something up, hopefully it doesn't land on your head. And you say, Are हाँ यार. When you throw something up, it really comes back to the ground. Why is that? Therefore, it proves that. No. Let's start here and then find out what did we discover from that. So shall I throw a rock? Shall I throw a ball? What shall I throw? And shall I stand underneath it? Shall I catch it, not catch it? And that's where that cycle becomes kind of important there. So that first piece of we need to be able to apply what we learn was the most basic 3-stage model. Then they said, yeah, but you know what? What's the point in applying something if we've not thought it through? They said, let's think it through. Okay, so what's the abstract concept? And schooling is all this. We learn Newton's law from the book. We learn biology from the book, never ever touching a plant maybe. We learn about geography without ever going out and looking at mountains. Abstract concept. And the hope is that the kid will, going on a trek with the parents, he says, I learned this in geography about landslides. I learned about how rivers form in geography. But when you're on a trek, you're on a trek. No connection between what's learned in the classroom and the experience that we have. So then let's build the cycle. Let's make it a cycle where these 4 elements become critical. We do something, we talk about it, we find out what it was about, and then we say, okay, can we really apply it? So it's not on the slide, but here's the thing. The question here is what happened. The question here is, so what happens if? And then the question here is, now what happens? Because you're putting that abstract concept into practice. Is it making sense? Now, we're going to use different words so we understand this a little better. Experiencing or feeling, reflecting or watching. Have you ever seen a person in reflection? They're usually watching. Thinking, acting or doing. Okay so far? Okay, now this is what I want you to do. I want you to draw your rectangle, go to annotate, go to the outlined square or rectangle and draw your rectangle. Those of you who drew a straight line and made a triangle, I told you it was supposed to look like a rectangle. I'd sent you a, so those of you who have it, oh wow, what's that? Who's that?
Me.
You can't be all over. You are in one block. This is the questionnaire. The first page are the questions. The second page is the kite. Remember the kite?
I'm sorry, Vishwas. Can you explain the question again for this activity? I'm not able to understand.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. So, yeah. So, are you seeing this? Page 3, you should have had a rectangle. If you did the questionnaire.
Wait.
Yeah, okay. So, Avni, that's you. Who's that? Where is that?
Where were you? Rectangle, draw me the rectangle.
Where is that? I want to get rid of this. Close now. Oh, close.
You were also there? Khalid?
No. Show names of I had to say.
नहीं शो ना अरे बाबा
It's on show. No. It's on show. It is. So, yes. Check now. Ah, there you go. Soumya, can I drag that thing down for you?
Yeah,
So I'm assuming this is you.
that's right.
Okay, great. Everybody got their little pieces in?
No, I'm not able to draw.
Annotate.
I have a little question because my came really weird because my Y's are 0 and my X's are 1.
Okay. So 0, yeah,
0, yeah.
and 1. So that's
Oh,
it.
so-
You'll be here.
Mhm. Thank you.
But then Y is 0, X is 1. So you should have a rectangle or something like this. You want me to draw it for you? Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Done it. Thank you. I couldn't see on the one that we got it. I couldn't mark it. So this is, yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So here's what we have. This is our group. We've got a whole bunch of, we've got 4 people here. Oh, who's this? Jivan.
I'm sorry.
Okay, can I do that for you?
I drew it multiple times.
Yeah, mine
please,
is
please.
mine is -6 and plus 18.
-6
and plus 18. I have annotation. I have written there. That's mine. This one.
Okay, fine.
Minus is, yeah. Y is -6 and X is plus 18.
Plus 8.
Plus 18. 1/8.
1/8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Ah, there you go. So here's the composition. Now, why are we doing this? This is your predominant learning style. Okay, so these folks here, predominantly you learn by feeling and watching, and so on and so forth. Just look at that. So now let's. Are you okay if we talk about some of these?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to choose some. Now the big rectangles. The larger the rectangle, the more stuck you are in that style. Which means Mridul, you're by and large watching and some thinking, but the struggle would be in the feeling and acting areas.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah. Who's this? Preeti. Predominantly feeling. Yeah, look, I mean, look at your job. Look at Mirambika, look at where you are now, and you'll notice that there's this whole reflective feeling part of this. You're probably the first one to ask, hey, have you had your drink of water? Would you like some sandwiches? Is everybody feeling okay? People's people. A lot of experiential educators are here. These are the scientists. These are the decision makers, entrepreneurs, and these are the adventurers, by and large. Let's take the next step. Can we save this? Screen saved. Okay. We're going to move on. Now just keep your rectangle in mind as we talk about this stuff. How do I get out of this now? Where am I? Ah. Okay. So this line, vertical, feeling, thinking, is how you take in an experience. You remember the earlier responses, and I said, please, you're telling me what you're thinking. And I said, tell me which words describe something. And you're telling me what you're thinking, not what you're feeling. So there's a whole bunch of people in the lower quadrant. You notice this? Under this line. Okay. This line is how you deal with an experience. How you respond to it. Do you sit back and watch, or do you jump into action? Okay. So earlier, Kolb's cycle, experiential learning cycle, was by and large these 4 quadrants. Now new studies and research conducted, they find that, hey, you know what? There are these people in here as well. Imagine drawing a line like this and like that. And so if you take this person, they are high on feeling, also imagining, less in watching. This person is, so these are the 4 words. So analysis, whoever this red is, lots of analysis, lots of sitting back. So this character is the watcher in those 2 people that I showed you. That girl sitting back and looking at the world and looking at him doing that. Are they learning? Of course they are. They're just learning differently. Now, why is Kolb's important for us? When we design experiences of classroom scenarios, just remember that your children are also this mix. So we have to design for people who feel, who watch, who think, and who like to do stuff. Trial and error, hands-on. Yeah? But currently, teacher talking, children listening is here. Now think about this, all abstract concept, no relationship to the world. And one of my early experiences was this. There was an 11th grade kid who opened a book, saw a chemical compound and said, hey, I saw this word in the chemistry book. She was carrying a bio book. It had some organic compound. And she said, it's also in the chemistry book. No connection whatsoever, except the fact that that word was there. And that's what we face in education. So you can be an engineer and not know engineering at all. You can be a psychologist or be a psychology and not know anything about and not watch people at all, because no connection is being made that this is the world that we live in. So context is really critical to the learning process. So we have content, we have concept, and we have context. Until context is what bridges all those different things in the head. Okay. So, God, we're almost there. Give me 5 minutes. I'm very sorry. Okay, so this is really important, but I've given you the reading. I need you to understand this. So we have the facilitator who comes with, as the educator, we come with that world. Okay? And then we have the participant or the student. And there are areas I mentioned of control and no control. The thing is this, when we walk into that space, we need to realize that the participant, how are you receiving what's going on right now in this 2-dimensional world? How are you receiving it? And don't tell me technology and screen. Are you receiving anything I'm saying?
Yes, I'm receiving.
We're receiving.
How?
Hearing, seeing.
Connections with what has happened earlier.
Five senses?
Experiences.
Let's just be simple for now. Five senses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're receiving through the sensory world.
Yes.
You're listening. You're looking at the screen. You're hearing me. You're watching me. Sometimes I go too fast, and you just see my lips moving and say, "What the hell was that?" And it's gone. Right? If I do too much of that, you're going to shut that screen down and walk away. I have to keep you engaged. I need to understand as an educator that you receive through the senses, the sensory world. So how you feel as you listen to me and whatever I create on the screen is critical to how much you learn. Nothing whatsoever in schooling invites a teacher to consider this. That kid may have been screamed at by the mother for something he or she did not do and is feeling immense guilt. That kid walks into that classroom with that mood. Have you ever had a quarrel with a rickshaw wala or a taxi cab?
All the time.
Or your spouse?
All
And
the
then
time.
gone to work? Was it the same?
No.
Was there a bucket at the entrance of your office space that said, "Leave your emotions here"? We walk in with those emotions. We need to be cognizant of this fact that our audience is sensing you first. So here's where that safe space thing comes into play. If I can't make you feel safe in this context, and say that there is no stupid, that first slide is always about it. There is no stupid question. It's okay to ask whatever you want. You're in doubt, you ask. I may not always answer it at the same time because we've got limited time. But I'm going to pay attention and I'm going to listen to you. Unless as educators and as parents, we can create that safe space where we will not be able to invite the learner into that learning space. Please be very clear about this. So this sensing, how people sense you and the space that they're in is critical to what happens. How they feel is critical to what they learn. One of the most beautiful sayings I came across, teach me the way I learn. Okay, so that's the sensory world. Any learner, you're encountering the sensory world. And if I had a choice right now, I do have a choice. You got 30 seconds, type a word anywhere, either this side or here, that describes how you're feeling right now. Any one word. Okay, every little bit is critical for me as an educator and saying, God, I know I'm pushing it. Okay, but I have to. Stay with me. Pick up your bottle. Come on, everybody. Take a drink. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Come on, hands also. Breathe out. I want to see your hands. Breathe in. Breathe out. Right. Okay. This is my classroom. Okay. Now, if I don't know and can't sense how you are engaging emotionally, you will not be able to take in stuff. So I want to be aware of that. So when I design and I think of my classroom, the question I want to be asking is, how will they engage emotionally with everything that I do? And just remember this. Emotions are the gateway to learning. You've already told me. Okay. Now, I do something, you receive something. What I give may not be what you receive. You know that, right? I mean, I can say, do you know what color is my shirt?
White.
See?
White.
You already
Light.
have a difference. It's blue.
Light blue. Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Crazy, no? So what you're seeing and what you're hearing and the sense you're making from what I'm saying, can you imagine? We've got 23 people there, 23 people making 23 different meanings from what I'm saying. Your students are going to do the same thing. Anybody you encounter, you say something, they receive something else. That is the birth of all conflict. Okay? Now, being able to, as an educator, accept the fact that I'm saying something, but you might receive something else. So I give you something and you know something else. So the knowing is happening in your head. And the reason you're doing all this learning, why learning is important, is because we want to become something. Raise your hand if you're on this course because you want to be a better teacher, educator, parent, partner, whatever. See, we've all got our reasons. We want to become. And all that is going to affect your being, everything that I do. You know what the funny thing is? Your inner world, the inner world of your students, you have absolutely no control. I have absolutely no control over what's going on with you right now. Remember session 1? Changing the world? You can't. And the reason is this. You can go in there wanting to change something for somebody else, but you can't because you have no control. Remember the illusion of control? That's what it is. Even as a parent. Do I want him to be what I want him to be? Waste of time. All we need to do is to nurture, to create an environment, offer a space where he or she can grow. And that's the best that we can do. Where do we have control? We've seen those 5 things. Objective.
Settings, audience,
Certain resources.
Resources.
Resources and
Educator.
educator.
And yourself. That's all you have control over. And so that includes the things that we do, the experiences that we create, who we are in the classroom, how we choose to behave. Am I bringing my angry self in or am I bringing a joyful self in? What is that switch that comes on when I walk in through the door of a classroom? That we have control over. Know that this is critical in any learning scenario. Home, street, classroom, corporate, manager, doesn't matter who you are in the world. We have people around us. We are educators for life to somebody else. And there are areas of no control and there are areas of control. And don't ever forget it because you know where the pain comes from for all educators?
From the area of no
Try to control this.
No, absolutely no control.
Zero control. Ta-da! I've sent you an article on that. Today's text is over. I wasn't sure I'd get through it. Ever grateful for staying with it. These slides are ready and I'll post them by tonight so you have the text. Anything you want to say at this point in time, if you still have the energy? I do.
I have a question.
It's Monica.
I have a question regarding the learning styles. Just for human development, are they changing through things that we are most exposed to?
We are affected by it. So, okay, something I didn't mention. We are all four. Okay, you saw your kite? We just lean on some styles more than others. So don't put yourself into that quadrant and say for the rest of my life, I'm going to be like that. You can cultivate the opposite. And I will send you some material on how to do that. But I think the reason we use code so often in experiential methodology is to recognize that my classroom also has different learners. So I must have equal portions, not equal, but portions of activity, portions of conversation, portions of reading, thinking, generalizing, theorizing, hypothesizing, and practice. And you can start anywhere. You don't have to start by doing something. Take that whole thing and flip it and say, hey, I'm going to think about, okay, what's the theory? And what can we discover from it? So you can change your 12 o'clock. The thing about this is we think that this is always like this, but it can be like this. And it can be like that. So change your 12 o'clock. You can begin with a reflective session and go through the cycle. But experiential education is going through that cycle. Experiential learning is just action and reflection. So when people say we do experiential learning, yeah, I'm sure all life is experiential learning. But are we experiential educators? Because if we don't take it through the entire cycle, then we're not. Can I answer your question?
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much.
Anything you want to say? And a good answer is just leaving the meeting, okay? I just want to give voice to anybody who feels like they need to know something, and we can get into that conversation anytime we want later. But you all look tired.
It was, for me, it was, very heavy, but a lot of things to reflect and integrate, work on it. So that is the feeling.
Remember, the following week is meant for this heaviness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Vishwas,
yeah.
So that I am thinking that even at present, I have different this course style grid, because suppose if I'm learning something in math, it is have different metrics according to this grid. And if I'm learning a language, or if I'm learning some physical activity like driving or something different, right? So it would be different, I think, even at the current or present situation also.
Correct. So we are all four.
Yeah.
But we just lean on some things more. I mean, think of those of you who are thinkers. Imagine if I took you into the mountains. Your question is going to be, what the hell is there to learn from that? We're just walking mile after mile after mile.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Vishwas, I was just wondering, this whole method of understanding the learning styles, how do we use it if we're getting into a classroom of kids? Because here, like for example, we rated it and we came up to these understanding what my learning style is. How do we understand learning style of small kids? How do we know where they fit into?
by watching them more intently. Now you have a language. Now you have a model. Now you just watch that thing and say, is that watching? Is that feeling? Is that...
Okay.
Yeah.
So is he more of a thinker or more of a watcher or like that?
Yeah, just be careful about something. Don't pigeonhole people with this. When I do deep, I get them to do at least 4 different inventories. So that by the end of it, they're completely confused. It works.
Okay.
Okay, so you can check out anytime you want, but if you have a question, I'm here. I've posted a lot of reading material. Don't feel guilty if you don't read it. My job is to hit you with as much as possible because that's all the time we have.
Yeah.
Okay? And I don't want to feel like I fell short. But don't feel like it's a compulsion to read it. I will always let you know what you do need to read. Okay? And I hope it won't be 21 pages. Okay? Cool.
Yeah.
Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishwas.